Welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey, where we offer simplified tax planning and mentorship to help 6 and 7-figure CEOs ditch the daily hustle by achieving financial independence from your business by increasing your purchasing power and diversifying your source of passive income. Through financial mentorship, realistic goal setting, and simplified tax planning, without having to hustle for the rest of your life, with the guarantee of the optimal roadmap to move you towards your desired time freedom. Welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey. I am your host, Suhey Piedra, and I'm an enrolled agent with Prominence Business. We're located in Glendora, California, but we're federally licensed to help clients across the United States. In last week's episode, I talked about tax season being over. Well, you know what else is over? The first quarter of 2023 is over. So what do we do with that data? It's important that we start reviewing those numbers to plan for 2023. Well, what kind of planning do we want to do, and what are those numbers telling us? So I have a case study for you today because with our clients, we do quarterly reviews. And we did our first quarterly review with our client. And they've been working with us for over a year now. And we pulled reports to show the first 3 months of the year. And we did a comparison. We did a comparison month to month. But then aside from that, we did a comparison how they did last January versus this January, last February versus this February. So the whole quarter was compared to last year's quarter. What we want to do with that data is we want to look at key components to make sure that the business is growing, making more money, and that you're working smarter. So it was really cool to see that the client was working 50% less, yet making just about the same amount of money, if not a little bit more than the year before. So to us, that was a huge win, a big celebration, because that means they're working smarter and not harder. So our goal now is that once we reviewed those numbers and we saw that 50% less of products were being generated and hours were being used, but yet the revenue maintained. Now our goal for the next quarter is to grow the revenue, is to continue to grow the revenue and the net profit. So we reviewed the profit and loss statement, looked at the overhead, looked at all the expenses. Where can we attack some of those numbers to reduce some of those expenses? Where can we save some money? And what can we go after to generate more revenue? So when we sat and we brainstormed, it was about putting dollars to better use in marketing, putting dollars in better use as far as staff goes. And so it allowed us to really look at what the goal is for the next quarter so that when we meet the next time, we have specific, intentional numbers that we want to track and we want to follow to show that this client is now on the path of not just working smarter and saving time, but also making more money. So we all want to have a business where we work less and make more. Sometimes it's not that easy, but with tracking your numbers and reviewing your numbers on a quarterly, on a monthly basis, with a team that can help brainstorm, maybe see things that you can't see, is very important. This is the time where you meet with your business partners, with your spouses, with, maybe your employees, anybody that can give you a set of eyes that can see things that possibly you're missing. So with our clients, we do quarterly reviews, and that's what we do. We're trying to plan so that we could show you things that possibly you didn't even know or didn't know or weren't looking at because you were focused on running the business instead of looking at those numbers. So, most clients do not look at their numbers on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis. And so they just create this profit and loss statement for tax purposes to tell Uncle Sam, okay, this is how much money I made. This is what I get to write off. What do I have to pay you? But what about looking at those numbers to drive the business so that you could make more money, but yet work less. I truly, truly believe that it's all possible. And I encourage you to use the data to help you with those challenges. So a few components that you can look at or brainstorm on would be, for example, look at your services. See when was the last time that you did a price increase? And I tell clients, sometimes we want to increase our price, say $5, right? And I'm like, well, you're already writing to your clients to notify them of the price increase of those $5, right? So why not really look at your numbers, figure out your overhead? You guys all know that right now, everything is so much more expensive, so why not look at what the numbers are telling you? What is your overhead? What is the cost of you really running your business? And determine what would be a fair price increase. Since you're already writing the letter or notifying your client that there's going to be a $5 increase, why not make it a good number that will support your business so that you can continue to provide quality, so that you can continue to provide excellent service to your client, and notify them of the $20 price increase, whatever that number may be. But what I tell clients is you're already notifying them of this small change. Might as well make it a meaningful change so that in 3 months you don't have to go and make another letter or notify them again that there's another price increase because your overhead went up, because the cost of everything out there is increasing. So look at those numbers, use those reports to gather that data to help you make those increases that are significant, that are meaningful to you and your business, and then notify your clients so that you only have to notify them once of those changes instead of multiple times. So that's one of the recommendations. The other thing is look at other revenue options. I would like to promote passive income. I always tell clients, we're all in an industry that may have fluctuations. And so sometimes our business revenue is up because we're in a hot market, and sometimes they could be low. And so we want to be able to survive the low markets, because when you hang on to those lows, when you come back up, that's when you make the most of your money, because you stayed in the business and you were able to ride the upswing with the market, and therefore that's when you become more profitable. So how do you survive those troughs or those low markets? Well, let's look at passive income. Let's look at other ways that you can possibly make additional, money in your business. If you're creating, some sort of a widget, what other type of widget will complement that one so that you could possibly create another source of revenue? Maybe you have a product. Maybe now you can add some sort of an install service or something like that. With the client that I was talking about earlier, we looked at it and we're like, well, you provide this service, and I believe this other service goes hand in hand with it. Is there any way that we can add that service and maybe get a contractor or somebody to assist you with you providing that additional service? That was going to generate additional funds for them. So you want to think outside the box of other ways to bring in revenue to your business. When I talked about looking at key components, one of the ones I like to really look at with clients is, like I said, their marketing. Marketing and advertising. Are those ads you're putting out there really paying off? What I mean by that is Facebook ads are really popular right now, and we can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. But how many clients are you really getting from Facebook? How many leads are you actually turning into business from that Facebook ad? We want to make sure that when those leads come in and we convert them, that they're actually paying for all those expenses you just had with Facebook. Yelp. Yelp is a big one that we have to sometimes be careful and watch. But if no one's watching your numbers, how do you know how much money you're spending on, paying Yelp so that when someone Googles your service, you come up? Well, I have clients that have sometimes paid, Yelp all these dollars, But when we drilled down to look at the amount of clients that they received from that service, it wasn't that many. So we were paying this company more money than we should for the amount of clients that we were actually getting from that service. There's no point in you being somebody Googling your service, being the first one, but yet not turning that into a customer or a paying customer. So look at things like that, making sure that you look at your money so that it's being used where it needs to be used and when your company needs it most. So get the most out of that investment is what I call that. So your sales, your expenses, and then look at your overall overhead. One thing that I noticed clients pay a lot for is the rent of their office space, warehouse space, storage rooms. Do we really need all those storage rooms? Do we really need that big of a space? Or maybe you need a bigger space. So those are important things to look at. Budgets. What about your staff? Are you utilizing your staff at its full capacity? So we hire employees and we want to make sure our employees are using all their 8 hours a day in what we need them to use them. Why would I carry the workload and then still be paying an assistant to do work, but they're not utilizing those hours? We want to maximize those individuals, our staff, to carry the load, and so that when we are free, we can think about new projects, we can think of new ways to create revenue, we can use our time to figure out ways that we can continue to grow our business, and yet have our staff help us with those projects and follow-ups and emails and all the little things that take up all of our time. Remember, time is value. And if you use your time wisely, you can create even more of a bigger business. We call it the zone of genius. When you're in your zone of genius, that means that you are productive and you can have all of your team working on all the little tasks, but yet you're using your time wisely. So when you look at your numbers, you can determine whether, if you need to hire somebody, do you have the budget to do so? I have clients that sometimes are like, well, I'm a single self-employed individual. When do I know it's the right time to hire someone? Let's look at your numbers. Can we afford to hire a virtual assistant? Start off with a part-timer and then grow that individual to a full-timer. The point of it all being is, what can you offload that's taking up your time where you could be using that time to making more money, growing the business, and using your time where it really does count. So all of those key things are things that you should be looking at right now that the first quarter just ended. Maybe you're thinking of making your estimated tax payments to the IRS. I'm thinking about strategies and ways to reduce my liability, not how to pay the IRS, because my goal is not to pay them any more than I need to. So those are all very important things that these reports, your profit and loss statement, gives you, and you should definitely be talking to your tax preparer, your tax strategist about those numbers, your accounting team, and your staff in general. What are the goals of the company to make sure everyone is on the right track, the right path, and we're all working towards the same goals. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all our social media platforms. Visit our webpage at prominencebusiness.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter for more knowledge bombs. Thank you for following. So if your mindset is ready to excel to the next level and you want to give up the multiple hats to a business who will support you, then schedule a call with us today. We can be reached at 626-825-8249. Please give us a review and share us with your friends and family.